President Muhammadu Buhari has unveiled the redesigned 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira notes. The notes were unveiled on Wednesday before the start of the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by the President at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. While speaking, President Buhari said the redesigning of the Naira notes will not only help the country to address the issue of illicit financial flows and corruption, but also improve the economy and the value of the Nigerian currency. The President, who said the currency redesign will also help the Central Bank of Nigeria's monetary policy initiative, added that the first set of the currency printed locally by the Nigeria Printing and Minting Company will prevent counterfeiting of the notes.
There was an urgent need to take control of currency in circulation and to address the hoarding of Naira banknotes outside the banking system, the shortage of clean and fit banknotes in circulation, and the increase in counterfeiting of high-denomination Naira banknotes. It is on this basis that I gave my approval for the redesign of the 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira banknotes. While this may not be apparent to many Nigerians, only 4 out of the 54 African countries print their currencies in their countries, and Nigeria is one. Hence, a majority of African countries print their currencies abroad and import them the way we import other goods. That is why it is with immense pride that I announce to you that these redesigned currencies are locally produced right here in Nigeria by our Security Printing and Minting PLC. The new Naira banknotes have been fortified with security features that make it difficult to counterfeit. These new banknotes will help the central bank design and implement better monetary policy objectives. They will also enrich our collective memory of Nigeria's heritage. Let me thank the Governor of the Central Bank and his deputies for this initiative.
After the event of today, the Central Bank of Nigeria can just take it as part of its programs to see to it that within 5 to 8 years, the currencies are redesigned and reissued. It is because mainly the central bank should be able to have control, full control of the size of currency in circulation. That is the sole mandate of the Central Bank of Nigeria, because it has implications for monetary policy management in the country. There is no need for anybody to think that this program is targeted at anyone. Like you heard the president speak in the chambers, he said that the discussion to redesign and reissue currency started early in the year. We took painstaking efforts in looking at the pros and cons and the reasons when it should be and why it should be done. And the president, in his wisdom, decided that yes, it must be done. In the past, I have to confess that attempts by the Central Bank of Nigeria to redesign and reissue currencies have been resisted. And that is the reason I also read in my speech that it's only a president of the esteem and stature of President Muhammadu Buhari that could have done this.
That's President Muhammadu Buhari and the CBN governor. Also, oil exploration is soon to be a daily affair across Nigeria, as President Muhammadu Buhari was in the Northeast on Tuesday to flag up the Kolmani Integrated Development Project, the first of its kind in the region. According to the president, the oil exploration at the Kolmani River, located between Gombe and Bauchi states, has already attracted over $3 billion foreign direct investment and is expected to boost Nigeria's fortunes and earnings. The project is expected to start with a daily production of about 50,000 barrels of crude oil. Following the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act, Section 9 of the Act established the Frontier Exploration Fund for the purpose of oil exploration in Kolmani as well as Anambra, Dahomey, Bida, Chad, and Benue axis, with the allocation of 30% profit from the NNPC's upstream oil and gas contracts.
The successful discovery of the Kolmani oil and gas field by NNPC and her partners has finally broken the jinx record by confirmation of a huge commercial deposit of hydrocarbons in Kolmani River field. This discovery had emanated from our charge to NNPC to re-strategize and expand its oil and gas exploration footprints to the frontier basins of Anambra, Dahomey, Sokoto, Benue Trao, Chad, and Bida basins.
The singular determination of Mr. President to ensure optimum exploration and exploitation of our natural resources, and Your Excellency's consequential directive for NNPC Limited to re-strategize and utilize available human, technological, and other material resources to prosecute exploration activities in all frontier basins resulted in the discovery of the commercial oil and gas deposit in the Kolmani prospect in April 2019. This was further appraised and validated by the Kolmani 2 well in October 2019. This discovery has enabled the understanding of the frontier basins in the reef system from Nigeria with potentials for further large-scale finds. Our teams are currently engaged in several exploratory activities and have commenced re-entry into the Chad Basin with the recent assurance of a clement security situation.
Our country is replete with rich hydrocarbon resources, which the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari and Minister of Petroleum Resources is committed to finding and developing to end energy poverty, create shared prosperity, and enthrone sustainable development. Despite the enormity of challenges that NNPC encountered, the day has come when we can collectively witness and celebrate drilling for hydrocarbons in the north of our dear country. At the heart of this administration is a vision to drive infrastructure and industrial development of the country in order to prosper our citizens and make life more meaningful to all. This is the motivation that sustained the quest to reform the petroleum sector, which culminated in the passage and signing into law by Mr. President of the landmark Petroleum Industry Act in 2021.
That was Tuesday's event between Bauchi and Gombe states, where President Muhammadu Buhari and other senior citizens in Nigeria converge for the unveiling of drilling. So tonight we are joined by the Chairman, House Committee on Petroleum Upstream, Honorable Musa Sarkin Adar. He represents Goronyo Gada Federal Constituency, and he's in the right position to actually discuss some of these salient issues. And he represents, as I said, Goronyo, and his constituency also had its own share of security challenges. These are some of the issues that we will discuss with him today. Welcome to the program, Honorable.
Thank you very much.
Good. Viewers, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and as usual, I'm your host, Hamza Idris. We'll take a short break, and when we return, the discussion commences. Don't go away. Yes, Honorable. This afternoon, President Muhammadu Buhari show the world the new currency, 200, 500, and 1,000, almost everything apart from the colors. So do we really expect most of the things that they mention, himself, CBN governor, and others, that it will curtail corruption, it will, address issue of counterfeiting and all that?
At the initial time, when the announcement was made by the CBN governor that there was going to be, or there's going to be, redesigning of the Naira notes in this country beginning from this November, and henceforth by the end of 31st January 2023, the current Naira notes we are using will no longer be used as a legal tender.
Yeah.
I had mixed feelings and mixed concern about the whole situation.
Okay, why?
When later President Muhammadu Buhari said he approved it, and when I listened to the various arguments put by people across, both those putting sentiments and the selfishness in their analysis, and I took position after I listened to the renowned economists within this country. And when I went also to search on my own why a country should redesign their currency notes and how it should be done, I now took a position, and I'm supporting the redesigning of the Naira as of today. Why? Because they said every country is expected to redesign their currencies after a minimum of 5 years and maximum of 8 years.
Yes.
And the last time Nigeria designed their currency was much more than 10 years.
Yes.
So for that reason, I support the argument and I support the decision. Second, the CBA is telling us that the causes of inflation is because of Naira availability in the hands of individuals. 80%, much more than that in the banks. And even those of us who are not economists, we have to believe in what the CBN says. The CBN controls monetary policies, and they are the umpire, and they are the regulators, and they are the one in charge of our economic growth. So we should not doubt them, and we shouldn't allow sentiments of others anytime anything good comes in Nigeria because it go against interests of a particular section or group of people, they will now start making all sorts of noise to confuse the general public and divert the good intention that it is meant for. Well, many people are saying it is targeted against we, the politicians. I'm part of the politicians because Muhammad Buhari, in one of his speeches, he said, those that have started our resources, and they want to use it for forgery and vote vying during elections. Whatever he means by saying that.
But is it true?
No, it is not.
Do you believe that politicians...
It's not something that we should argue. Let me make my points why I support the resigning. So, inflation has at its highest peak in this country. And if CBN says the only way they can curb inflation is by redesigning the Naira, I support them. I'm a nationalist, I'm a patriotic person. I want everything good for myself, same to be good for everybody in this country. There's no reason why few are enjoying and more are in hardship. And that should not be the situation, and that's what it is today. And we should not always take the blame and heap it on the particular person, especially leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari. This government has done much because since inception of this country, Nigeria, it is only this regime that have never denied state governments what is due for them in financial allocations. Just about 2 days ago, Governor Wike of Rivers State have said that President Muhammadu Buhari have never withheld allocation meant for the states. He have never the 13% revision. He gave to all, and he was asking and challenging some of his colleagues in the South, what have they done with the money? And President Muhammadu Buhari gave out about 2 or 3 bailouts to the state governments.
But beyond that,
let me finish, sir. People are crying that President Muhammadu Buhari has met this country in our sound economic or in a near economic collapse, and he still took it worse. No. The state governments have been given much of all what they desire and what they are not even desire, they do not desire. But what have they done?
Even though I don't want us to drill, because people are complaining.
It's for the purpose of enlightening. Let people understand the point I'm trying to make. The 3-tier system of government is federal, state, and local government. President Buhari had did all he could, even to the extent of signing an executive order that local government autonomy should be guaranteed by the state governors. They refused. He now directed that henceforth from the preparation account monies meant for federation account to local government should be sent directly to them, and they were given. But what happened? Most governors called them back and asked them to return back the monies. And because they were not properly elected, they were cronies of the governors, they returned back the money. And what happened? Poverty now ensued in the localities. Until and unless there is complete separation of power of all the ties of government, and everybody is doing what he's elected for, and everybody is exercising the powers given to him by the Constitution, there won't be any good in this country. And the blame should not go to President Muhammadu Buhari or to the federal government, but rather to the state governments.
Now, EFCC chairman, in relation to this EFCC chairman, many governors under their radar. Do you really agree with what he said? And is it true that people really stash these nairas in their homes, in their farms, and all that ahead of the 2023 election? Because what they said today, post-launch briefing, that they were able to mop around the 160 billion or thereabout, and some people say this is paltry compared to what they said before the commencement of the redesigning of the naira.
I did not listen to the EFCC chairman, and I do not care much about what he said. All I want to let him face his work and do it diligently within the ambit of the powers given to him by the act that established him. I'm a lawmaker. I always cherish anybody who is appointed by an act of parliament to go within the limit of and the extent laws that we passed and President Buhari or any president have signed for that purpose. If that's what is true, that he knew or is aware of not only governors, any individual who have such away money for any purpose, and that money did not come to him through legal means, let him go after them. He's empowered to investigate. He's empowered to prosecute. We should not be judgmental in all our issues and approaches. Rather, we should do our work diligently. Go and investigate. When you get the facts and your figures correct, then now you can charge the person to court. It's the only court that is competent enough to pronounce anybody liable for any allegation that is on him, not any agency again. All right.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is how far we can take on this and the topic of discussion. President Buhari, yesterday, between Gombe and Bauchi states, launched the drilling of oil. It was really good news, and it remains one of the major stories till this moment. But people are saying we only saw the well. When you look at the surrounding, it's actually still bush. So how soon, and you are the chairman of the petroleum upstream, so how soon should people expect to see the real drilling of the oil?
First of all, let me say a very good salute and kudos to President Muhammadu Buhari, to the management and the staff of NNPC, and we members of the Parliament of the Petroleum Committee of Upstream for the support we have given to the NNPC at any time they require our legislative support, and entirely to the National Assembly for passing the Petroleum Industry Act, which was signed by President Muhammadu Buhari. This is a byproduct of that act, because this act has guarantees the investors of the safety of their investments. Earlier, before now, most investors who are mostly from outside the countries, because you don't have much money within the country to involve and engage into oil prospecting. It is very expensive and very risky. So not every startup company will come and invest its money in a business that will take 10 years to yield and with higher risk. To drill an oil well could cost a minimum of about $200 million and to up to $800 million.
Wow.
So you can imagine, even our banks in this country could not take the risk of giving you a loan to go and invest in the prospecting of oil, especially in a place whereby much noises have been made that this is political, that this is sentimental, this and that.
Some are even saying the oil is not even there.
The bottom line now is this is a reality. Those that are involved in the geophysics analysis, those that are involved in discoveries are not only the northerners. They are engineers and geoscientists of higher repute from across the entire country and outside the country. And the company that is awarded the project It's not a Nigerian company, and they are coming with much of their money. What they are going to give into this project are much more than what Nigeria will contribute. And I don't think whether the money belongs to them, that money does not belong to an individual. It's a consortium. It's a group of people that form a company. And you won't allow anybody to go and sink your money where you are not sure that money will come back to you safely with return, with very good return of dividend on your investment. So we should avoid this kind of unnecessary sentiments. Even today, I saw a comment passed by somebody, probably he's not from the other part of the country. He was saying the crude oil theft, which was being, there was a pipe laid down beneath the ground from the south to the north, and it is what has been bunkered over time is going to be drilled. We should love this country. This country is ours. And probably that person is a young man. And who was carried away by sentiment. Who hope to build a future. You can't build future on sentiment. You can't build future on falsehood. You can't build future on hatred. You can't build future on negativity. You have to be positive. And we must trust ourselves, and we must trust our leaders. Of course, if leaders do not say what is worth of their trust, you can challenge them and criticize them concretely, not with any bias. Just criticize leaders with purpose of correcting them to understand what they are saying is an error, and provide a solution so they can listen and align with that solution that you have provided, but not just because of mere sentiment. No, this is Northerner, I want to support him, or this is Southerner. No. We should believe in Nigeria. We should be patriotic, and we should have a nation. If we don't have a nation, we can't progress. Many countries are like us. Different ethnic groups, different religious groups, different cultures come together as a nation, and they live together peacefully and harmoniously, and they are progressing. One of such is Tanzania. From independence till date, they had never had any turmoil. There had never been any military intervention.
Well, maybe because they don't have
until today, they are progressing, and they are going to take over Nigeria. They are making more discoveries into their mineral resources, and they are harnessing them, and investors are going there. Tanzania is becoming the hope of Africa. It's in East Africa, but it's becoming the hope of Africa in the near future. It's a country that is populated most by Muslims. But since independence till today, over 60 years, it was ruled only by 2 Muslims, Ali Hassan Mwinyi from the Zanzibar, and the current president who became president after the death of the former president, who was a Christian. But you never had anything Christian-Muslim fighting there. You have never had any tribe there. They have so many tribes, but they speak common language, Swahili. Every there is a Tanzanian. It's a beautiful country. You need to go there and see. We should imbibe this kind of thing, not always looking at the ethnicity background, our faith, our culture, how I look tall or short. No. What matters is the purity of mind and good intent of building a nation to help humanity.
But Honorable, sometimes you see people, you don't just dismiss them completely, because they also think that leaders do certain things at certain time for political expediency. For instance, this event, as I said earlier, we've been receiving text messages and calls that, we have seen the photos, they're only the well. We didn't see anything yet around it, and the president was there that it was for 2023. You are chairman of the House of Reps.
Over 2 years ago, when I assumed chairmanship of the Committee on Petroleum Upstream, in one of our discussions and engagements with the GMD of NNPC Corporation, then now Limited, I asked him, what is the reality of this Kolmani basin? He told me it is a reality. At that time, he told me, and he showed me, if I could have my phone here, I could show you, and I could show you the dates, 2 years ago, that they have made discoveries, and these are the samples. He showed me the samples in 3 stages. When they drilled 7,300 feet, this is what they got. When they drilled 8,500 feet, this is what they got. When they drilled 10,000 feet, this is what they got. All were looking in different colors. And he told me why they did the first one, the second one, and third one is to be sure, and to be pretty sure, and to double check. genuinity of the discoveries.
Okay.
And they now realize, yes, it is in commercial quantities.
Yeah.
Because you can have discoveries that are not on commercial quantities, meaning it cannot return the money spent on the drilling.
Yeah.
But once it can return the money on the drilling and it can give you some gains, then that is what becomes commercial.
Yes.
It's like you having a car that can carry 10 people, but you bought 20,000 worth of fuel, and where you are taking them to, they will pay you 8,000 naira. And when before you come back, the fuel is exhausted. Will you do a venture into that?
No.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
So what happened and what has been discovered at Kolmani is real, is genuine, is commercially viable, and like I have said, is a foreign company that is making the real activity in conjunction with the Nigerian upstream, Nigerian NNPC Limited and New Nigerian Development Company Limited, owned by the entire 19 state governments, which hold the ownership of the the oil fields.
Yeah.
And now it's a tripartite.
Yeah.
And the company that is handling the project is in production sharing contract.
Yeah.
Whatever they discover, they have certain percentage that goes to them, and some percentage goes to the NNPC, who are part of the financiers because they finance the exploration activities, and the NNDC, which own the oil.
Another fear is that this ought to have been completed maybe in the first 3 years of Buhari's first term, so that many things will be done, because the drilling, what happened yesterday is just an aspect of the larger picture. Now, if he leaves, how sure are we that the next government will give the desired support for the infrastructure around the oil fields?
In the first place, we need to understand anything that is technical cannot be determined by sentiments or by the wish.
Okay.
It has to go by the process and procedures. To drill an oil well is not like to drill a borehole. You can put in your rig for borehole today, and by next 2 days you have hit the water.
Yeah.
In the oil business, it is not like that. I'm not a geophysicist, I'm not an engineer.
Yeah.
But having related with them, I have gotten some grasp of and understand how it works.
Okay.
There are a lot of things that are involved. In the first place, there's geophysics, which is done by geologists. They have to finish their surveys, finish their analysis in the laboratories. There's some of the laboratories not in Nigeria before they come up with the result. Yes, you can go to particular location and do what you do. And that's what is done by the Nigerian Frontier Exploration Agency and by the, what they call, there's another agency here. Now it has been transformed. I don't know how they put it there.
Yeah.
Which was also a custodian of the data. And before then, now you come into the real prospecting and you go and start the prospecting drilling.
Yeah.
And after the prospecting drilling, then now you move into the commercial drilling. So it's not a matter of because President Muhammadu Buhari has given directives that it can be finished within 3 years. No, it takes time.
Yeah.
When oil was first discovered in the south, it was not immediately drilled within that period. It was discovered during the colonial era, but the first oil did not come until after they left.
Exactly.
So we need to understand this. And gradually, we have reached where we are.
Okay.
And this is a combined project. There's going to be this oil upstream drilling activity whereby the crude oil will be extracted, and then there will be a refinery sited there that will refine the petroleum products, kerosene, petroleum, gas, and other byproducts.
And you are hopeful these things will come to pass?
It is not, I'm not hopeful. I am confident. I am pretty sure this has come to stay.
As a legislator, because are there some legislative backings that will actually
the legislative backing is the PIA. Okay. The PIA has guaranteed this, like I've told you.
Yeah.
Without PIA, no investor will come with his money to come and sink into there.
Thank you very much, Honorable. We will take a short break. And when we return, I will ask you more questions on this and, of course, politics. Please don't go away as we go on break.
That's great.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Remember, you can follow the conversation on our various social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. Yes, we have in the studio Rep. Musa Sarki Adar. He is the House Committee Chairman on Upstream, Petroleum Upstream, and he represents Gada, Goronyo Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you have given all the confidence about the oil prospecting. The president said we're expecting more along Dahomey, Sokoto, and other, and Benue, Anambra, and all that. As the chairman of the committee, how soon are they coming? And this is coming at a time when other countries are talking about greener energy. You still think that this is viable in Nigeria, this perspective?
Let me finish. I have started, you caught me. I say it's an integrated project whereby you have the oil production of the crude, then you have a refinery there, then there will be a gas plant, there will also be a fertilizer plant there.
Yes.
Because it's inland, there's no water transported, and we don't need to export it anywhere. What we are going to get there, we are going to utilize it for our local consumption, and we are going to industrialize the nation by having a fertilizer plant there, by having a gas plant there. We are going to have so many industries that will use the byproducts of petroleum and petrochemical byproducts. So that's the most important aspect of this project. And that has come to stay.
Including the refinery.
Including the refinery. It's going to be there 120,000 barrels per day. It will be refined there. And I think that will be pretty much close to more than 50% of Nigeria's consumption per day on daily basis. There will be no oil subsidy anymore. Again, a question of oil subsidy. There will be no more issue of queuing in the artificial queues in the filling stations, because now you can transport from Bauchi, you can pump it to Gombe, you can pump it to Gusau, you can pump it to Kano, to all the other
depots. That's when we fix our pipelines,
and even down to the south. So we will have.
What about finance? Because it's really.
I told you the company does the company that is handling the project are coming with their funds.
Okay. So it's not a problem.
So it's not a problem. It's not that we have to dip into the pocket of the federal government to come and do this. What the federal government have done is to facilitate, and they did, by providing the basic infrastructure and the basic support from the initial stage, by discovering the data availability, and by making an enabling environment of the law, and by also obscuring the area. Now the area is secured. Unlike before, when there was some fears of Boko Haram. Yes. And from there you can hear they are moving downwards to the Lake Chad Basin. And don't forget, initially when this oil prospecting started in the north, it was all in the Lake Chad. It now come to realize that the Kolmani area was not even mentioned then, until recently, maybe about some 10 years ago. So the moving of the entire exploration to other parts of the basins, Anambra Basin, Dahomey Basin, Sokoto Basin, Bida Basin, and Benue is going to be done simultaneously. And we as parliamentarians, or we as makers of this country, because we represent the people, and we want anything that will unify this country, and we want to diversify the economy, and we want to make sure everybody contribute, and we want to make sure that everything is available in this country, not only in the oil, even in the mining sector. What we need to emphasize in this country now are three things: oil production, mining, agriculture. Once we have this, the youth of this country will have no reasons being poor. They will have no reasons.
But some of these companies that are investing, especially in the Niger Delta, you've seen them going out saying that it is time for green energy. That's why I said, do we still have serious prospects?
When they started going into the orbit, were you there? Where have we gone?
We are still here.
Have we gone into the 50-story building? Can you climb up to a 50-story building without following a lift? They are already where they are. The oil will continue to be relevant for us in Africa generally in the next 200 years. Nobody should deceive us. We should not deceive ourselves because the Europeans are saying green energy. Let them go to their green energy. Whatever energy we have, call it blue, yellow, white, we need it. What we need is what we can do to transform our lives. And for now, what we need is to stop importing from them and rely heavily on what we can produce.
Yeah.
And this is what we are channeling our strength, our effort, our determination to. So the propaganda of the West, that is climate, this and that, they should go ahead with it there. We are hungry. We want to have a means of averting hunger in the whole Africa.
Yeah.
Africa is hungry. We cannot feed ourselves. Until now, we import rice. People are complaining rice is being cost at 30,000 naira because of this and that. Because we don't produce enough.
Yeah.
If we don't produce enough, so now when we have fertilizer companies doing fertilizer in Nigeria, the cost of fertilizer will come down. The cost of farming will come down. Many people will go back to the farm. Farming is a lucrative business, but very expensive now. When it is made available to everybody to participate, there will be availability of food. We can even export our food to other countries, not only in Africa, to Asia and even to Europe. So we should not continue to have that fear. This is a very good opening for us, and we should hold it with good intent. It depends on how we look at anything.
President may be committed to this. That is it. But look at Barrow. I'm trying to make, a comparison. He launched it more than 4 or 5 years ago. Up to now, nothing is happening there. How sure are we is another thing in this? Because it's a landlocked area. So how sure?
I am giving you all the assurance I'm giving you because I'm involved. It's a sector that I'm involved. I'm part and parcel of. I'm among the stakeholders.
Yes.
I know everything that happens there. Officially, I can write to ask a question. Officially, I can call and ask a question.
Yeah.
And I shall be given the right answer.
Exactly.
So I can also share it with anybody without any fear of contradiction.
Okay.
So what happened to Barrow? Somebody should raise it there and should be investigated.
Exactly.
All I hope is Nigerians should ask.
Yes. What happened to Barrow after commissioning and nothing is happening?
It's a project of the Ministry of Transportation under a particular minister. Where is he? What has he done?
Yeah.
Were funds given to him? If the funds are given to him, where are the funds?
Yeah.
If the funds are not given to him, let him come clear and tell the Nigerians that no, we initiated a project, but it was not financed. So he can clear his name.
Exactly.
Whoever he is, I don't know him.
Yeah.
So you understand?
Yeah.
And Nigerians should add this question, and this question should be recurrent.
And history will remember you. Do you foresee subsidy going with these recent developments?
Even before this recent development, subsidy must go. Because whatever you cannot produce, and you are, I want you to understand, subsidy is for the benefit of the elite, you and I and many others like us, not for the poor man. The poor man do not own a car. The poor man do not own...
But he transports his goods using
sir, let me finish, sir. Or the means of his transport commonly is the trucks that are using gasoline. Gasoline subsidy has been removed long ago, even before President Muhammadu Buhari came in. Since during Johnson period...
So you believe even if it is removed today, the poor will not suffer?
It will not change anything. It is the elite who has 5 tankers in their houses, who works on everything. When they want to buy popcorn, when they want cheap thing, when they buy this, they have to use a car. The poor man who works on his on an Akada or who treks, it doesn't affect him. He doesn't have a car. What he needs is not more than 1 liter in a day. But the elites are using 20 liters, 50 liters, 100 liters, hundreds of liters in a week.
But I hosted somebody here,
yes, sir,
who said, the immediate way to actually reduce inflation, to also bring down food inflation, is to reintroduce subsidy for gas, because this is what transporters used to take goods from Lagos to Maiduguri, to take cow from Maiduguri to Port Harcourt. Now you pay over 1 million to transport something from Lagos to Abuja. You pay 1.5 million to take it to Bauchi or Maiduguri.
Whoever that person is, with the benefit of hindsight, I don't want to know who he is. I disagree with that. We know what subsidy has cost this country. Many people that are involved in the management of subsidy became, what do you call them? What do you call them? You journalists, tell me.
Tell me. How,
no, you should tell me.
I don't want somebody to arrest me after I leave this place.
If I'm at campaign, I would
the racketeers?
Whatever you call, now you said it. Okay. The racketeers. So if you bring it back, that person might be an agent, or you could be part of them that you want the racketeering to come back. Not racketeering. We shall sustain what we have. What we know, what can take away inflation is local production of everything that we need.
Yeah.
And by now that we are going to have the Kolmani project, to have a fertilizer company there, to have a gas plant there, to have a refinery there. And by the time maybe Dangote finishes his own refinery as well, the inflation on the cost of gasoline and kerosene may likely drop down. But don't forget one thing, this is an international commodity. It is not something that is priced only in Nigeria.
Yeah.
If you buy your product from any other country, you cannot control the price.
Yeah.
But if you produce it locally, the government can now come in and regulate. Are our regulators doing what they are supposed to do? We have Consumer Protection Council. Not only on the petroleum products, on everything. Do they do their job actually? When you go to airport, you paid your ticket, an airline cancelled or delayed flight for 8 hours, and they will just announce that they are sorry, they cancelled for 8 to 10 hours till midnight. They don't provide hotel accommodation to you, regardless of where you come from. You might be coming from Kano on transit to Yola through Abuja, and midnight you are told the flight is delayed or it's cancelled, and nobody even give you anything except that announcement. Do they do anything on that?
Nothing.
The answer is no. But when you came to the airport and missed your flight by 5 minutes, they charge you what they call no-show of 5,000 up to 10,000. And nobody is talking. And we have all the regulatory agencies there. Not only on the aviation, in everything. When you go to a hospital, a doctor is not on seat, and you waited for about 3 hours, and later a nurse told you the doctor may not be able to come today. Nobody charges him because your health and your health may be critical at that very time.
What you are saying is that people must be held to account.
And like now, as you are coming to your work here, I am sure if you report 10 minutes after, you will be queried. And maybe that would be the last time that would be allowed that. So why not apply that generally on everything?
Exactly.
So
people must be held to account.
It's a factor of malfunctioning of our systems.
And people must be held to account.
Yes.
Yes, Honorable, you see, the issues at the national level are so many, but I'm compelled to actually take you back to your constituency in Eastern Sokoto, right? And like many other parts of the Northwest, Goronyo and neighboring communities under siege by bandits. If I'm correct, why is it difficult, and at what level did the insurgency of sort now escalated to that part? Before it was Zamfara.
It is one of the saddest situations we have been grappling with over a period of time. Really sad and really sad because more lives are being lost, properties are being destroyed, people are in hardship and difficulty, all of us. The situation started to degenerate when it was reported that there were concerted attacks on the bandits in Zamfara State by the military.
Okay.
And I think at that very particular time they did not make adequate plan to shield those that may escape from Zamfara State to neighboring states. And the Sokoto State became a victim because we share a common border. From Sabon Birni, Isa, Goronyo, Raba, Treta, all shared borders with Zamfara State and even part of Katsina State. And that escalated the situation to Sokoto State. So when they flee from Zamfara, they move to Sokoto State. And the second issue is the involvement of the informants. Okay, informants in the communities. Because in many of the places that I went personally to condole and commiserate with people who lost their owns or who were attacked at various times, when we engage them, they will tell us before the bandits came, there was some, they noticed some movements of this and that. And in some communities, they were even saying they are suspecting some people among them of being informants. And they gave instances. There was a time I went to a particular community in Goronyo local government, Birjingo, when some people were killed, some were abducted. So I went to commiserate with them. Before I went there, I left by 6 a.m. I sent my SLA and some group of people to go and tell the people that I was sending them to commiserate on my behalf, not knowing I was coming, because I took undercover. I was advised. So when they were there, they met the village head, the chief imam, and other community leaders that they came on behalf of Honorable Musa, who heard about the incident that happened to commiserate with you. We were here, that. One of the people who knew me said, is he not behind you here? Oh. So I came up, and I was informed of a particular person who was being suspected to be an informant. I asked the person who told me, when we reach there, tell me the color of dress he is wearing, the clothes he's wearing. And luckily for me, he was wearing green. And when we went there, so I quickly sat down near him.
So that you disarm him of sorts,
so I hold
not to
him,
even call anybody.
And I engage him into discussions. How are you? How is the city? How is this? How is everything happening? So when we are going to house where to condole the families of the victims, I made sure he was part of it. He wanted to stay behind. I said he should follow us. So he followed us.
But do you rule out this?
No, listen, when we went there and when we finished, when we were coming back, I put him in my car.
Okay.
We came in there and I was asking him, I said, give me your number and this is my number. What time can I call you? He said, anytime. I said, even 2 o'clock in the morning? In the middle of the night? He said, yes.
Wow.
So that's only two. You know, an average local community person should be asleep by 10 o'clock.
Yes.
But he said, I can call him anytime. So in any case, as a Muslim, I should not just take the rumor to be true. So I started
engaging. You try to validate
and
it.
when we started, I said, look, I want you to be a good citizen. If anytime you hear anything that is going to happen to this community that is bad, please inform me. From today, I appoint you as my liaison. Anything that you hear, not only here, anywhere, if you hear anything that is going to happen that is bad, please inform me.
Yeah.
So I just put him in that.
Okay.
And I continue communicating with him. But until now, I did not make any trace of anything
to him.
Okay. But in other places when we went, we got a number. That was one of the phone fell down and they took it. And we took the number. And when we went through the number, we saw some conversations in form of text messages. So these have actually resulted into galvanizing the whole situation.
Yeah.
And you can imagine attacks that are carried in some villages. The terrain is not forestry.
Yeah.
It's a clear coast area that have no any traces of any forest where anybody can hide. But all of a sudden you hear that around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the night, these people come and attack. So where did they come from?
Serious
So
problem.
they must be around within the village.
Yeah.
So in real sense, that's also another area that our security agencies and our communities should also put together, collaborative effort to make sure informants are wiped out.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, if you still have informant within your midst, you are vulnerable.
The question I wanted to ask you, because I remember here in this house, one of our senior board members at the time said, it's like there is conspiracy of silence at the initial stage before it escalated around Sokoto, that some people are really killing the stories until when it went out of hand, because media can only report what they hear. But you know, these attacks were going on for a very long time. How is your relationship with the governor, for instance, in terms of synergy to see that you resolve some of these problems?
To be honest with you, as a member of that constituency, and as a member of Sokoto State Indigen, and the governor being my former colleague in the National Assembly, and a governor of my state, have never asked me to come forward to discuss any of this issue. Even when I raised motions, I raised about 3 motions on the incident of banditry attack in our local government.
Not even once?
He had never called me. And because of the prosty relationship of the parties.
Yeah, you are in APC,
he's in PDP.
Yeah.
I had never made any attempt from my own end to meet up with him to discuss this issue. And why I did not do that, as Chief Executive of Sokoto State and as Chief Security Officer of Sokoto State, he called a meeting of all the stakeholders once. And the notice was given to us very late because the meeting was going to hold the following day. And we were informed in the night preceding that day.
Yeah.
Well, many of us were in Abuja, many were outside Abuja. However, the leader of APC in Sokoto State, Aliyu Magato Wamoko, attended the meeting alongside some of us.
Yeah.
Not all of us made it. Even those that are in PDP, not all the members of House of Representatives that made it because of the late notice.
Okay.
So it wasn't properly
managed,
organized.
But isn't it an indictment?
And even
all
after that, deliberations, a committee was set up, and until now I didn't hear anything again. I don't know whether it has submitted the report, and I don't know the content of the report. I'm not blaming anybody for this. This is not an issue that should be taken from political angle.
Okay.
It's something that involves lives. And it's something that is about humanity.
But it's not an indictment.
Sorry, sir. No, all of us should be indicted as leaders.
Oh, my God.
I have raised 3 motions.
Yeah.
They are all passed by the House of Representatives through resolutions. I wrote all reminders to the institutions that I made my prayers to. Police Affairs, Army, Air Force, DSS, Poor Relief, NEMA,
all of them.
Humanitarian, NNPC, NDE, Ministry of Water Resources, to come to support the victims with some relief. Only NEMA provided something paltry. It provided some rice.
This is very sad. This is very sad. I want to. And we have just 1 minute. We have just 1 minute, and I want you to summarize it because you have been in the legislature for almost 16 years, and you want to come back. What are your chances in a word or two?
My chances depend on the Almighty God who gives success to anybody, and
understand you want to vie for the Speaker.
Who has sustained me to this period.
You want to vie for the Speaker.
I am eminently eligible and qualified for any post that is available in the House of Representatives.
Thank you very much, viewers. We've been chatting with the House Committee Chair on Petroleum Upstream, Honorable Musa Sarki Ada, who has spoken on quite a number of issues, and we thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
We hope you will come again.
Thank you very much.
That is a wrap on today's program. Hoping that you enjoy it and you will join us for another edition. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye, and Hamza Idris.